What is going on, everybody? Welcome to basically just a big old update of basically where we're at and where we're going with everything. All of the members have been kept up to date as we sort of went along with everything, but I just wanted to make a bit of a condensed version of what the hell's been going on for the past few weeks for all of you public people, so that you know what's going on. Because if you follow the onsong Instagram or Facebook page, you would have noticed in the past couple of weeks I did put a post out basically explaining that we aren't taking on any more projects at all until further notice. Basically no more long-term work, only tunes and engines and stuff that we can sort of turn out. And I'll go into why that is in this video. And you would have noticed that most recently I actually put a post out saying that for July we are just flat out just blacking it out. We're not taking any work through July just because we have to do catch up, and I'll get into that as we go through the video. So this is actually like the fourth time I filmed this video now. The third one actually did get uploaded, but it was only for members. Never released it to the public. It's been hard to try and make this video because I hate coming across as like one of those people that's like, oh, you know, poor us, why us, and being whingy, because it's really not what we are, how we operate or what we're like. We were raised as workers. We're happy to work hard, and we sort of just push through stuff. But it's been uncanny the past few weeks. It feels like we're living in a movie, and I just wanted to give everyone an update, but I'm trying to make it in a way that it's not, you know, whingy. I don't want to sound whingy about it. But anyway, so basically where we were at the end of last year, we were sort of really evaluating, and we were at a point where we were like, you know, these long-term projects, it's no secret, there's not a lot of money to be made in them when it's just us two working here, just for the fact that we lose too much time in behind the scenes work. Taking on one of these long-term projects, a complete build from start to finish, there's so much project management and so much time that goes into it that's not build. And when it's only the two of us in the workshop, all of that time that someone has to spend that's unbilled is not being spent on billable hours. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really work out when you're restricted with a two-man workshop and a two-man team. You know, we're too restricted by space and work and manpower to really make or turn over enough of that work to really go anywhere. And at the end of last year, we were sort of evaluating that situation, and we were like, nah, we'll just do another 6 months. We'll go head down, ass up. We'll be a bit more careful about the full-on projects, and we're trying to be only taking on like LS-based stuff because it's what we know, it's what we keep in stock. And we thought we'll do another 6 months. The plan, as a lot of you guys know, was at the end of this financial year to hopefully secure a loan to finish the shed off. It's meant to be twice this size. It's meant to be this size again that way. And at that point, you know, we'd have a lot more room, more workstation. We can start bringing more people in and start turning out a lot more work, and that's how we were going to progress the whole setup. So that was the plan, and that's what was meant to happen. And then obviously, unfortunately, we hit March, and the dyno retarder pretty much exited the chat, which caused us a lot of issues because we were without the retarder for 8 weeks. And basically, it caused a lot of issues from there this next 6 months, which was meant to be an evaluation of what was going on. So to give you the picture, I'm just going to have to go through basically a timeline of what's happened over the past few weeks. Anyway, it's going to be a long drawn out video of me explaining things, guys. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, and not everyone has to watch it, obviously. But for all you guys that are interested and that do care, here is basically an explanation of what's been happening in the past few weeks. It should make a lot more sense now as to why so many of these builds have now dragged on for so long, and why we've basically just decided to black out July as a month to just catch up. So March, the dyno retarder exits the chat. We've got to send it back down to Victoria to get rebuilt. We're without a dyno for 8 weeks, which obviously as like I said, a two-man, two-bay workshop, that is basically our cream, that dyno there. That's really how we make money. So not having it for so long was really hard. But you know, we had plenty of work going on. We were still pretty busy. So we kept diving in, we kept going. Heaps of stuff happened in that time. The consistent wet, I don't know how many 1 in 100 year rain events you can have in a year, but just consistently wet around the place. As you can see, the earthworks around the place are not finished. They're still ongoing. And when we get rain and stuff, the drainage is not sorted. It's just wet. And I think that's had a lot to do with me being sick so much this year as well, as how wet it's been. But all through that time as well, my partner, she started obviously working quite a bit more. She was doing temporary work and getting a lot more hours, a lot more days. And my young fella, just like me, seemed to just be sick a lot. But you know, you put that down to wet and daycare. But the problem was, because she was always working, I work for myself. Whenever he gets sick or gets sent home from daycare or something, I'm the one that's got to look after him. So through that period, immediately after the dyno sort of left the chat and stuff, and we sort of tried to get Brad's car sorted and everything else, That was a big hit in itself, but then all of a sudden I was off work quite a bit looking after the young fella, which again, I don't really care. I don't mind. Happy to look after him, but the lost time is not good for business. Anyway, coming up towards the end of the dyno, the retard getting back, we had a very stressful time with Brad's car, the R33.4, which you would have seen from the footage. Stressful enough as it was, trying to get all those cars over the line. We were cutting it very close with the retarder getting back. Not only that, but I had the young fella's birthday around this stage, and around this point as well, my partner was actually offered a permanent position for work, which was great. That's awesome. Great result, great outcome. So she took that, but she'd organised to have this birthday party and everything else, which I ended up having to pretty much do all the running around for and organising. There was a period there for like 2 weeks where I'm pretty sure I worked 2 days out of the 14. So just lost so much time. Post his birthday, we finally get Brad's R33.4 over the line. We get it dynoed the weekend after we get the bolts to get everything back together on the Friday. It was cutting it so close. So a huge thanks to Dyno Dynamics. I know in the content we were pretty obviously upset about the fact that those bolts did get forgotten. It was pretty frustrating, but big credit to them. They actually did really make sure we got those bolts ASAP. So we did get the car over the line and that all happened, but just stressful, man. And obviously a sponsored car. So anyway, that following week, we get Brad's car back to him. He has a week to sort it out before the drift comp, which was great. We were meant to go out to support him at that drift comp. Through that week, I pretty much just was catching up on boring tax stuff, heaps of stuff that needed catching up on in the office. We had that Supra that we had to tune, which ended up costing about 3 days just because of Link G4X things and disconnections. I won't go into it too much, but it was very frustrating. That weekend, we were meant to go out to support Brad at CQ Drift. Boom. Rex and I get smashed with COVID. So we both come down with COVID. We've got to isolate. We can't go support Brad, which, by the way, he did extremely well. Brad and Carl, both boys on the onsong drift team, did incredible that weekend. Both of them did awesome. Carl ended up getting third in the pro comp, which was just huge for his first drift comp. And then Brad ended up getting a $10,000 sponsorship from Australian Institute of Motorsports. So just an all-round awesome event. We're so upset that we couldn't be there, and that absolutely sucked. So that weekend that we couldn't be there to support Brad, our landlord drops over and basically tells us, hey, he's thinking about putting the house on the market. Cool. That was very, very hard for us. Not our landlord's fault that we're in the position that we're in, but obviously when you have a family and you're faced with the prospect of not having anywhere to go, it is extremely, extremely stressful. It's not a fun time. So all of a sudden we're trying to deal with, hey, we've got to find somewhere else to live. We've got to find somewhere to go in a bit of a hurry. Like he told us on the Sunday that he was thinking about putting the house on the market, and by Monday we were getting calls saying the real estate agents were coming to take photos, and it was already up on the market. So very, very stressful. That was the start of that week. So CQ Drift at Benarabi, and then King of the Strip, also at Benarabi. We're only 1 week apart. So, this is a week before King of the Strip. We got COVID. We can't go up to support Brad. We got told we have to move house. That was that week. And this is the week leading up to King of the Strip. So that was basically Monday, pulling our hair out, got to find somewhere else to live. On the Tuesday, we have that issue with the patrol. The patrol torches a piston. You'll see a lot more of that in the content. Since pulling that engine down and doing a lot more inspecting, we sort of have a very good idea or a very good understanding of what exactly happened. And it's wasn't entirely our fault. The cause wasn't entirely our fault, but obviously it's still something that we should have picked up on earlier before it did the sort of damage that it did. But the fact is, the damage that was already there, which was the root cause of what happened, it wouldn't change the outcome because it all would have had to come apart anyway for us to fix it. So either way, just a crappy situation. But anyway, we were pretty upset about that. That was the Tuesday. Basically we were just under the pump. We were trying to get that thing ready for King of the Strip as well, and we're stressed out. Just been told we have to move house and everything. So it was a very stressful time. We just should have picked up on a few things earlier. But anyway, it is what it is. It's all done now. But that was the Tuesday, and that was just adding on to that week. It was pretty crappy. Then immediately after that, I was doing a diesel tune on the dyno, and I think this was a Thursday, and the computer that we use to run the dyno exits the chat. So now then it starts having issues, it won't boot up. So the dyno was back up and running for all of 11 days with the retarder back before the computer went and decided to kick the bucket. So that was obviously another problem we didn't need. After a lot of fighting with the computer, I did manage to get it to boot up. And we did manage to get the cruiser on the dyno finally in our preparation for King of the Strip on the Friday. That's why we didn't, if you watched our King of the Strip prep, you'd notice that we did all the prep on the Friday before we were meant to go out to Benarabi. we literally rolled the cruiser off the dyno at 4:30 in the afternoon on the Friday and drove straight up to Benarabi. It was a mess. Anyway, we at that stage I was literally at a point where I was like, I don't even want to go to King of the Strip. I thought that the universe was trying to tell us something. Yeah. It was, I'm glad we persisted though, because we did go up, we did have an awesome time. It was a great event. We really did have so much fun. And the cruiser went awesome. So all around good event. Glad I ignored what the universe I think was trying to tell us and we went anyway. But anyway, so we went up to King of the Strip. We got back from King of the Strip. Obviously all the parts are here to build the new computer for the dyno. So I dive into that. That was a steep learning curve. That video's out now, so you can go and watch it. But basically that cost me a lot more time than I intended. Pretty much just because I had to learn as I go, and it was a very steep learning curve for me for computers. But you know, not that it's a bad thing or that it didn't have to happen, but the fact is I wasn't counting on the lost time of building that computer for that week. All of this time was not meant to be spent, you know, pulling the engine for the patrol out and pulling it back down. That was lost time. Building this computer was lost time. All this time was meant to be spent finishing the 80 series and finishing or getting stuff stuck into the HQ and finishing the R33 DE plus T. So there's a lot of projects and stuff that all this was meant to be happening during this time, which because of all this lost time, we've just ended up really, really far behind. So that was building the computer. Lots of issues there that just ate up heaps of time. The kittens that we had saved when they were 2 weeks old ended up with a ringworm. That was another thing we were dealing with. We get back from King of the Strip, trying to build this computer, and then all of a sudden, my partner and young fella get smashed with COVID. So we're assuming they obviously got it from us when we had COVID, but they were a bit delayed. But anyway, so they get smashed with COVID. So then all of a sudden, they have to isolate, which means obviously I've got to do a lot of the running around, general shopping and grocery shopping and stuff like that while they're in isolation, which again, not a big deal, just heaps of lost time. It's felt like it's just been wild, one thing after another. So anyway, we finally find a place to move to. It's very expensive, but we've moved there now. So right at the end of their quarantine period, we start moving house, and you'll notice that Rex has got the really big red 3.5 ton car trailer with the cages all around it. It's not registered because we just haven't needed to use it for a long time. And to register a trailer like that in our state, you need inspections and then roadworthy and pay rego and stuff. It's quite a big process. There's a few things to do. And because we literally had to move like a K down the road from where we were living, we were like, oh, we won't bother with all that. I'm pretty sure the fine for getting caught using it unregistered is probably less than all of the process of going through to get it registered. Plus, you know, we'd get it registered, use it to move, and then it would probably just sit there until the rego ran out again. So we were like, oh, we'll Smokey and the Bandit it. We'll just go, someone can follow us. Comes to moving day, like I said, sort of wanted to wait until the quarantine period was over for moving. For the big moving day, we were like, yep, we'll go take the trailer over and do all our furniture and stuff. We come over here for breakfast to the workshop. Cops pulled someone out, literally out the front of the driveway, and for the rest of the day, on the day that we wanted to move, cops were just having a blitz. There's like 6 or 7 streets this side of town, and they were just crawling all over the side of town all day. Not sure why. Just our luck, I suppose, but my goodness, the one day that we were like, oh, we're just, you know, you hardly ever see cops out here. We've got to move a K down the road. We'll just take the trailer and just go and do a load. It'll be fine. But no, cops are crawling everywhere. So we can't use the trailer that day. We decided not to, which was a good idea. But then later on in the day, we're doing a load over to the new house. We get pulled up at an RBT, which is set up at the corner of our new street. Rex gets pulled up in his XR6 Turbo, his daily, his Falcon, and cops a fine for driving a defective vehicle. So he didn't actually get a defect, but they gave him a fine for driving a defective vehicle, which is exactly what they did to me when I was driving the Micra for wheel poke, but they never actually gave me a defect. You just get a fine for driving a defective vehicle. But anyway, just a really, of all cars to be in, of all days to get one, and Rex literally cops a fine for driving a defective vehicle in the XL6 Turbo in the daily. So I'm not sure exactly what it was for. I think it was for what they call an oil leak. It was basically just a joke. Anyway, just our luck. So sort of made like it's just one thing after another, it seems. Rex is adamant that all of this bad luck is like a test. It's leading to something. But anyway. So anyway, that's basically the timeline of how the last sort of few weeks / months have gone. Up until this point, finally got the computer to work, and now we've got to pay to upgrade the software on the dyno. But it's sort of just, we were like, we'll do another 6 months, head down our sub, and it just seems the whole 6 months has just been one hit after another, and so much lost time. So needless to say, after all of this lost time, we're way behind on things. As you can see, the HQ still hasn't really been touched. The Shady 80 still isn't finished. It doesn't need much work. We just need to finish the wiring. We just literally haven't had time. We've just been getting smashed. So what I've decided is, as you can see around this, anyway, there's heaps of cars around here that we need to tune or just do small work. So for the rest of June, we're just going to smash out what's here. And then July, we just blacked it all out, and we're just going to use it to catch up. We're going to get the Shady 80 finished if it's not done already by then. Obviously, this Patrol, get it back rebuilt, get it finished again with a fresh engine. Dive into the HQ, finish the R33D plus T. There's a lot of those long-term projects which have been sitting around here, dragging on way too long, taking up too much room, and obviously it's a lot of mental load having them all sitting around here as well. So due to the way how it's gone over the past few weeks, we just decided to black that out and just not take on any more work. And then obviously, as a lot of you guys know, as I said at the start of this video, the plan was at the end of the financial year to hopefully secure the loan to finish the shed. So that's how we've been gearing all the financials without getting too much into it. But basically everything's been going back into the business because that was the plan and that's where we wanted to go. And that was how we wanted to expand. And obviously having to move house has thrown us a big curveball. That's been a very big, unexpected curveball to have to do that. So it's sort of, I don't know, a bit of a shock to the system. But basically we're sort of at a point now where we're like, well, we sort of need somewhere to live, really, like a secure place to live, is where we're at. So, where we move to, it's going to do us for now, but it's super expensive. We don't want to be there for too long. And basically we've shifted our focus into the idea of basically just getting a house built on this property before we worry about expanding the shed and doing everything else. So basically we're right back where we were at the end of last year, where we're having this evaluation, where doing these long-term projects, there's just too much behind the scenes lost time that doesn't get billed. And when it's only the two of us and things like this happen, it's not profitable enough for just the two of us to be running the business in this way. So that's why the post about just not taking on any more at this stage. Basically, we're going to get through the ones we've got already here and the ones that we've been talking to people about. Because obviously if we're going to go for the building the house instead of the shed, well, we're not going to be able to expand. We don't really have the room for more staff, and it's not going to expand in that way. And we're not going to be able to turn over more of this work, which is what the plan was. So basically what it means is that we're still going to be limited by our space, and our space is still going to be limited to basically just me and Rex, and being limited to just me and Rex is going to limit what we can do and turn over, and basically we need to work out how we can make it more profitable with just the two of us. And the best way to do that is obviously to focus more so on tuning and engines and stuff that is quick, that we can turn in and out and get in and out the door, and turn over a lot more of that sort of work, and stop doing these really long-term projects which obviously eat up so much time and eat up so much space, which in this facility we can't really afford. So that's where the shift has come from. That's why we've put out the post that we're just not going to take on anymore. Even as it is, what we've got lined up, me and Rex are still going to be busy doing these sorts of things until probably the start of next year. We've still got that much on. So the best, smartest thing to do is basically just stop taking them all together. So we're going to finish what we've got lined up, go back to ground zero, go back to just tuning, performance upgrades and engines, stuff that we can turn out of the shed, make this profitable for just us too, while we focus on getting our house built and having somewhere secure to live and not paying so much rent. And, at the end of the day, we do plan on still doing all the expansion. We do plan on finishing the shed. It's still, even just for us, it's something we want to do. Where the engine room is in this end of the shed, this is all meant to be built in as like another living quarters, and we still want to finish that. So in order to finish that, we've got to move the engine room, and it's got to be at the other end. So all of those expansion is going to happen, but obviously now it's not the priority. So we'll go back to ground zero, just us two, turn out more work, finish some of our own frigging cars, which have been sitting around for literally probably over a year. The VS still isn't finished because we haven't had time, because we're too freaking busy building everyone else's cars. So we just want to get back to being able to sort of have a bit more time to do our own stuff. That would mean better content, a bit more time to make better content, and basically just running the business in a more profitable manner for just us two. Anyway, so after the shed's extended and after we do get to that point where we have finished all that, we probably will then start looking at the expansion of staff and taking on projects again and full builds for other people once again at that stage. I'm sure that we will get there, but for now we can't keep doing it because it's too much space, time that doesn't get built. So, without going too much into it, there's so much behind the scenes time that goes into doing a complete build from start to finish so much logistics running around. I'll lose, you know, there's probably, for each one of these full conversions, there's probably a good week's worth of just running around chasing parts up and getting stuff to different people logistically to do what they've got to do, project management type stuff. And that stuff doesn't get billed to these jobs. So, you know, you're talking about me pretty much spending a whole week just driving around. Fuel's expensive, not making any money for that week. And basically for that week, we've got to live off whatever Rex does, sort of thing. So it just doesn't work out. Not to mention at the end of it, we got 10 times as many receipts for 10 times as many stuff, like much stuff that we had to buy. That's 10 times more BAS that I have to balance. Like it just creates so much more work for behind the scenes, which you don't really see in the content, but it's just too much lost time. It'd work, obviously, if I was doing that and we had 3 or 4 people in the workshop working. It would work out then, but when it's just me and Rex, it just doesn't work out. So that's where we're at with it. So that's the big update for you guys. Yeah, hopefully it didn't come across too whingy or whatever. We're pretty sure, obviously, all this bad luck is, yeah, like I said, Rex reckons it's definitely a test. It's leading to something. Hopefully it's leading to us getting approved for finance to build a house on the property. That'd be great. So hopefully we're getting to that point, but for now it's just a matter of trucking through with what we've got. We're still super excited for a lot of these builds we've got coming up. You know, we got some pretty cool stuff happening over the next 6 months still, but it's already enough for me and Rex to be plenty busy. We don't need to be taking on any more. So that's where we're at with it. Hope that brings everyone up to date. That's why some of these builds have been dragging on. That's why the videos have been pretty quiet. We've been flat out moving house. Like we've basically just been a week moving. So yeah, it's been a pain. But anyway, hopefully back into the swing of things a bit more now. And like I said, we'll finish off the cars we got here for June, and then July we're just going to dive into some of these long-term projects and get them sorted and get some space back and hit August again and go from there. Finish off some more builds, get some more stuff happening. Hopefully start making some more content. So I apologize because of everything that's been going on. The next probably 2 weeks worth of content is probably going to feel very thrown together, even more so than normal. I do apologize. It's, yeah, the content's really not where I wanted it to be. I really want it to be better, but just too push for time. But anyway, we made 20,000 subs, so thanks everyone that subscribed, you know, come along for the journey. But yeah, hopefully when we make it over this hump, I can put a bit more effort and time into the content. Hopefully we're making content of our own cars, so that'd be awesome. So anyway, thanks guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out, see you, bye.